I bet your younger listeners in particular, the ones who've never actually thought about how does editing work, would love to see that. Because when you edit digitally, you're doing the same thing.
When you edit digitally today, it's like anyone who is used to editing on their computer technically can do that part of it. Then it gets much more complex after that. But the basic is the same thing. But you're right in those days. In fact, we were talking earlier about the King Arthur recording, which, fittingly enough, has the sound of a fire in the background. Because as you may recall, it begins with the last living knight of the Round Table as an elderly man sitting before the fire in the castle saying, I'm going to tell you these stories.
Was it an actual fire?
Well, it wasn't an actual fire, but today you just get a sound effects library, sound of a fire, and you'd push a button and let it run for 10 minutes and you'd have it.
But then everybody's fire sounds the same.
Well, and I didn't like any of the set ones, so we mixed a couple. And the engineer, in those days I was working with an engineer. This is before I started engineering my own work. We mixed several of them together so we had the sound we wanted, but it wasn't long enough to go behind the dialogue. So we had 2 reel-to-reel recorders, and we got the fire sound on one of these tapes and ran an endless loop of it up off the machine, up above, over a pencil that was being held down on the bookshelf over the recording machine, and down again. So it went around and around while the other machine was recording that fire sound for like 20 minutes. And while we're doing this, the owner of the recording studio comes in and he finds me and with the engineer. We're sitting there just chatting the way you and I are, and this thing's going around and around, crackle, 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 crackle. He said, what are you guys doing? And I said, isn't it obvious? We've lit a fire in your studio. And that's where we got the sound. And that's what you had to do in those days.
If only Jack London had known that trick.